Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. In fact, this is a special Happy Hanukkah edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are so very, very grateful for all of the wonderful people in our Reading with Your Kids podcast family. We're especially thankful that you are here. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest to kick off the Hanukkah season. We're welcoming the author of The Queen of the Hanukkah Dosas, Pamela Ehrenburg. You know, we are celebrating the very first day of Hanukkah. This podcast is being published on the very first day of Hanukkah in 2018, and we're real excited. Whatever holiday you are celebrating this season, the holidays are right around the corner. And Little Passports is the perfect holiday gift for curious kids of all ages. Little Passports delivers fun-filled packages right to their door every single month with engaging hands-on activities, interactive projects, and unique souvenirs just waiting to be discovered. Little Passport's monthly subscriptions are designed to spark children's curiosity about geography, world cultures, or science. From exploring sea creatures in Costa Rica to building a Big Ben like the one in England or making an ancient Greek headpiece, every month is a different adventure that will fuel their imagination and spark their natural curiosity of the world around them. It's the perfect gift for kids ages 3 to 13 this holiday season. Order today for holiday delivery at littlepassports.com/reading. That's littlepassports.com/reading. I'm really, really happy to welcome my guest today. We're celebrating the first day of Hanukkah, and we have the perfect guest. She is the author of a beautiful book called The Queen of Hanukkah Dosas. Please welcome to the show, Pamela Ehrenburg. Pamela, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah to you and to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't we begin by you telling us about the Queen of Hanukkah Dosas, please?
Sure. So Queen of the Hanukkah Dosas is a story about two siblings who are trying to make dosas at Hanukkah time. The younger sibling is constantly getting in the way of everything, knocking things over, spilling things. So many who have tried cooking with two or more siblings may be familiar with some of those kind of cooking adventures. And so theirs is a family that brings together two different cultural traditions. And so while many of us may not think of dosas as being a traditional Hanukkah food, within this family they've brought together the mom's Indian American heritage and the fact that this is also a food that's fried in oil, and so they bring together different parts of their family, and this has become their family tradition.
Wonderful. Before you go any further, you have to let me know what a dosa is.
Sure. So a dosa is a South Indian pancake. It's made with lentils and rice. It involves a long process of fermenting and then cooking in special kind of equipment that is accompanied by all sorts of wonderful tasty treats. We had the illustrator's cousin from India. It's contributed some recipes that appear in the back of the book. And you can almost smell them, I think, as you read.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I love this. I love this idea of having a multicultural Hanukkah celebration. And I certainly can envision the kind of, well, you can call it joy or chaos that can happen when you have two siblings in the kitchen trying to help you cook. But can you tell us a little bit, too, about the story of Hanukkah and what that celebration is all about?
Sure. Well, at this time of year, I think a lot of different cultures have traditions involving light. It's a time of year when the days are getting dark so early. And we need all the light that we can find in our world. And so it tells a story of a small group of people called the Maccabees, who overcame oppression. They were living in a time and place where their traditions were not welcomed so much by the larger culture, and they stood up for what was important, and they rebuilt, and somehow they persevered. And so as part of that, there's the little bit of the light that when the temple was being rededicated, there's the tradition that there was only enough oil found to last for one night, but somehow it managed to last for all 8 nights, for 8 nights, and so that's how we have the 8-night celebration now.
You know, I'm oftentimes when we have guests on that have written books about race, I talk to them, and one that I express the fact that it's frustrating for me because, this idea of trying to help folks understand that we are all human beings and we need to look at each other as human beings, and, to put aside judgment and prejudice and all that kind of stuff. But as you're talking about the story of the Maccabees and the story of Hanukkah, and, the Maccabees dealing with folks who didn't care for them that much and didn't care for their beliefs and had these prejudgments and violence towards them. It's been so soon. We just very recently we the nation experienced the tragedy that happened at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. And does the Hanukkah story kind of give hope to folks that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that there is hope that we can come together as human beings?
I think that definitely is a big theme through it. I think it's a big tradition at Hanukkah that the menorah, the candles that we light, are supposed to be placed in a window so that they can be seen by the outside world, and welcoming together people, no matter who they are, walking past to take part in this sort of feeling of light and hope. And I think that is probably what I've seen most notably over these past couple of weeks since the Tree of Life tragedy. So I think, there is that message of people coming together, and there's also the message of standing up for what's right, that not sitting by silently while people, no matter who they are treated in a way that is unfair and violent and oppressed of any kind. So I think those two things together, that there is this message of hope, and that we are the ones together who all come together to build that hope and share that light with the world.
You bring up something that really, I think, really important and could be a really valuable lesson when a family is reading Queen of Hanukkah Dosas together. That idea of standing up for each other, and I don't even think a family doesn't have to reference the recent tragedy. Just talking about the Hanukkah celebration and standing up for folks who are being oppressed, and that can be a people who practice a certain religion, but it also happens on very small levels with certain kids at school who are being picked on or bullied, and helping our kids understand that they have the power and the responsibility to stand up and help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that theme necessarily within the plot of the story itself. I think one of the great things about reading picture books and all kinds of books really is that it really can be a jumping off point for so many conversations based on what's relevant to the people who are reading it. I think one of my favorite phrases that I heard for the book was the idea that it's really not a book about oppression, the characters just are, that it's not, while they do come from different cultural backgrounds, it's not treated as this is a book where we need to highlight that and analyze that the characters are living their lives in the fullest, most chaotic, spilling things, climbing toddler kind of ways that I think people of all backgrounds can relate to. But I think you're right that I think through that kind of exposure of positive portrayals of all kinds of cultures, that I think kids and adults and families can start to have conversations about, there's no one right or wrong way of celebrating a holiday or not celebrating a holiday, or families can be all kinds of whatever we make of them. So I think it can be a jumping off point for all sorts of topics like that.
Yeah. Well, as you finished the book and as it came together, what kind of conversations did you envision families having after reading The Queen of Hanukkah Dosas? Pam will be back to share her thoughts about what kind of conversations we can have with our kids after reading Queen of the Hanukkah Dosas. I love that. I love asking that question to authors, because I really do believe, and you've heard me say it before, that reading with our kids, it is the beginning of a lifelong conversation about all sorts of wonderful things. And that's why I love books, and that's why I love reading books. And that's also why I'm so excited that Little Passports is one of our sponsors during this holiday season. It's such a great holiday gift. It's the perfect gift for kids of all ages, and it really is the start of some wonderful conversations about science, about culture, about geography. It's wonderful. It really is. Little Passports is a perfect holiday gift for curious kids of all ages. Little Passports delivers fun-filled packages right to their door every single month with engaging hands-on activities, interactive projects, and unique souvenirs just waiting to be discovered. Little Passport's monthly subscriptions are designed to spark children's curiosity about geography, world cultures, or science. From exploring sea creatures in Costa Rica to building a Big Ben like the one in England or making an ancient Greek headpiece, every month is a different adventure that will fuel their imagination and spark their natural curiosity of the world around them. It is the perfect gift for kids ages 3 to 13 this holiday season. Order today for a holiday delivery at littlepassports.com/reading. littlepassports.com/reading. And as it came together, what kind of conversations did you envision families having after reading The Queen of Hanukkah Dosas?
I think it's really a great opportunity for families to talk about their own traditions, of what makes their family unique, both in ways that they might bring together things that their ancestors and other family members may have done, as well as things that are unique within their family unit. So whether they celebrate Hanukkah or not, or other holidays or not, I think it could be so interesting to just look at another family's tradition and see, various ways that people come to find joy and chaos, like you say, that we all may have aspects of that in common.
Yeah, I really do love that melding of cultures and bringing cultures together and just celebrating different cultures. And I also love a good story that talks about chaos and it's fun because, we inspire families to read with their kids and cook and create and exercise with their kids. But it can be really hard sometimes. And sometimes it's a lot easier just sitting down and making the dosas yourself as a parent instead of going through the work of getting kids together and giving them and making sure they're not going to knock the pots off and all that other kind of stuff. And what do you think about that chaos? And do you see it as it is chaotic, it is a lot of work, but boy, I think it's worth it because...
I think so, and I think that's one of the lessons learned probably, or the main lesson learned by the narrator of Queen of the Hanukkah Dosas, that, he's the older sibling. It's narrated from his point of view, and his little sister, toddler, is, continually in his way, as he sees it, that he should be in charge of this and leading the way. And I think, the culminating moment of the story, I don't want to, have a spoiler too much in a 32-page picture book, but, that ultimately it's because of her climbing that she's able to rescue the day and get them out of the crisis moment that they have in their dosa making. And, I think as he comes to appreciate that her specific brand of chaos is exactly what they needed at that moment, I think it can be a cheerful reminder for all of us sometimes that, somewhere within that chaos is a person that we love, and there are unique things about them that can really be a strength at the same time.
Yeah. When you're saying that, I do educational magic shows, and one of the things I do during the show is I hand out these little beads, and I ask kids to tell me to think about something they're grateful for. And 99% of the time, the kids are saying they're grateful for their family, their friends, their teachers, an opportunity to go to school. And, very often the kids will say, well, I'm really thankful for my brother or my sister. And so my kind of witty response is, oh, is your brother younger or older than you? And if they say, well, they're younger, I say, well, does your little sibling make you crazy sometimes? And they'll just laugh and they go, yeah. And I'll just go, well, that's their job. And this just smile. And it's exactly what you're saying. It's like in that moment, they're realizing, yeah, they're really hard, but that's what they're supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm an only child myself. And so most of my childhood I spent wishing for a sibling of some kind and wishing for that kind of chaos. So getting to see my own two kids interact as siblings, it's anthropological for me in some ways to kind of watch that pattern and learn from them and just try to enjoy it whenever I can amid the ingredients all over the place.
Well, I love to. I think it would be, just reading Queen of the Holiday Dosas would be a wonderful way just to kind of celebrate the chaos that happens in our homes sometimes. I know now that my kids are older, 22 and 22 and 25. Boy, oh boy, we oftentimes laugh about all the crazy, chaotic things that have happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just wonderful. So, Queen of the Holiday Dosas, it's not your first book. You've written a number of different books.
Yes, so I have two novels for middle grade readers. One of them, Ethan Suspended, and the other one is called Tillman County Fire. And then I have one other picture book that was on kind of a limited release through PJ Library, which is an organization that sends out Jewish-themed books to children. And so they were very helpful with getting Queen of the Hanukkah Dosas out into the wider world as well.
Do you have a preference in terms of writing picture books over middle grade books? They're very different experiences, I'm sure.
They're different, but I really like being able to have multiple parts of my brain at one point or another. Maybe it's almost like having multiple children, where if one of them is starting to get a little bit frustrating, there's another place to turn for some of that kind of creative energy. So I think the process actually has a lot in common in terms of getting into the mind and the experience of that particular character. The picture book, I had to learn to let go a little bit because starting as a novelist, everything that every writing instructor ever told me had to do with show, don't tell, to really use the words in order to paint a picture in a way, so that the reader really feels like they're there. So with experimenting into the picture book arena, I had to learn that what I thought was showing, using my words, was actually, in some cases could be seen as telling, because it was not leaving space for the illustrator, to do the real work of showing and actually, creating these pictures. So Anjan Sarkar, did really an amazing job, with the Queen of the Hanukkah Dosas, illustrations. And so that was really a growing experience for me as a writer to learn how to operate those, to let go of that part of the story to someone else.
Yeah, I think that's something that folks don't understand, is that it really is a collaboration, in creating a picture book, because the illustrator is telling a lot of the story. And one of the things that's so interesting, and this is something that I find fascinating from speaking to authors and illustrators. While it's a collaboration, oftentimes there's very little actual collaboration happening. The illustrator will get the story and then they'll kind of go at it. And as a writer, you're sometimes sitting there just kind of waiting and hoping and, praying that what comes out is something that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I think it was a bit like that. So Anton Sarkar lives in the United Kingdom, so many thousand miles and time zones away. So we've never met in person. I was really fortunate that we did have some interaction a bit at the time that his initial sketches were ready, because it was an interesting collaboration, I think. Partly because of this blending of cultures, in that I am Jewish but not Indian. He is Indian but not Jewish. And I'm not sure that either of us would identify as a chef necessarily by vocation or avocation so much. So, we put together the collaborative pieces that we could, and then, we were both sending sketches to friends of ours, with different of those culinary expertise and different pieces to advise on, which exactly kind of kitchen implement would this family be most likely to have given what we know about them. At one point I changed a piece of the text in response to, one of these readers sharing that, probably this family would have put away the spice immediately after using it, so it wouldn't have necessarily been on the counter to be knocked over in quite that way. And so we switched it so that suddenly there was salt going all over the place. So there was a little bit of that, in the later stages. But you're right that, I think a lot of people have the idea that the author and illustrator sit down next to each other and, and go through every page together. And so that was a little bit of a different experience, being geographically far away that way. Mm-hmm.
What's next for you? What project are you working on right now?
Sure. So, I have a novel that, I've been really fortunate, to be also in a collaborative relationship. It's a novel in two voices, so from the perspectives of two different characters. And I worked together with another author, so we each wrote from a different character's point of view. And so we've been working with PJ Our Way, which is the middle grade division of PJ Library. And we're hoping that someday, before too long, that'll find its way out into the world as well.
Awesome. Well, I know folks are going to want to know more about what's going on with Pamela Ehrenburg. Where can folks connect with you online?
Sure. So my website is one place. So I'm www.pamelaehrenburg.com. And I'm also on Twitter, just at Pamela Ehrenburg, and the last name is Ehrenberg. I find myself always having to spell it when saying it, so feel free. But I would love to connect with readers and other writers and listeners, find out what your experiences have been.
Awesome. Yeah. We definitely want to encourage folks to reach out. I love the fact, one of the things I did with my kids when we were really younger is I just kind of, say, oh, you like that author? Let's see if we can write a letter to the author. And we did, and we got a response back, and my kids went crazy. It just made their day.
I bet it made that author's day too. That, being an author is not the kind of thing where people stop you at the grocery store usually. And, unless you're one of those top few. So, it would make my day as well. I would love to hear from any of the listeners.
Well, we really are thankful that we had a chance to hear from you today. The guest today, she's the author of Queen of the Holiday Hanukkah Dosas, and we're celebrating Hanukkah. This is the first night of Hanukkah, and we're really, really happy that we had a chance to speak to Pamela Ehrenburg. Pamela, thanks so much for being part of the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays to everybody.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're going to have a worldwide adventure. Our guests will be Harsha Sheelam, coming to us from India, and Len Emsley, coming to us from the United Kingdom. A fantastic around the world episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, if you are the author of a wonderful book and would like to be a guest on our show, well, it's really, really fun. It's really easy, and it is absolutely free. All you need to do is go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know all about your great book. We'll let you know the next easy steps. Like I said, it's really, really easy. And hey, if you are the parent or the grandparent or the aunt or an uncle or just somebody who loves a curious kid and you're looking for the perfect gift for that curious kid, well, there's only one place for you to go, littlepassports.com/reading. Little Passports is the perfect holiday gift for that curious kid on your list. With a subscription to Little Passports, kids get a fun-filled package each month designed to inspire their curiosity in geography, world cultures, or science. For kids of all ages, order today for holiday delivery at littlepassports.com/reading. Hey, we want to thank Pamela Ehrenburg for being here today. We want to thank Little Passports for being our sponsor. And of course, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by taking the time to read with your kids. I'll be looking for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.